What if the quiet tension rippling through Chase Center right now is the very prelude to a seismic shift that could redefine the Warriors' future beyond anything we dared imagine? Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash-era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. In the shadowy corridors of Golden State's front office, a complex chess match is unfolding, anchored around 22-year-old Jonathan Kuminga, the young forward who's become the fulcrum of a restricted free agency standoff that could either make or break the next chapter of this storied franchise. Kuminga, a rising talent whose flashes of brilliance have sent ripples through the league, remains unsigned, hovering in a limbo that speaks volumes about the tension between player aspirations and organizational strategy. According to Clutch Point's Brett Siegel, Kuminga's camp is firmly rooted in demanding a contract north of $30 million, a figure that reflects not just his on-court potential, but a clear declaration that he doesn't want to return to Golden State, a rift that strikes a stark contrast with the Warriors' own calculus. This storyline grows more tangled by the hour, the organization, walking a tightrope between financial prudence and competitive ambition, is reportedly content to offer a smaller deal in the $20 million range, essentially positioning Kuminga as a tradable asset in a market that seems to be drying up on viable suitors. Behind closed doors, this saga could define a generation of Warriors basketball. This standoff sets the stage for a high-stakes game of optimism and pragmatism, where the Warriors' hope hinges on orchestrating a sign-and-trade, with the Chicago Bulls emerging as the prime candidate for this delicate maneuver. What fans aren't being told may be the most important part of this negotiation? The Bulls, sporting a roster hungry for upside and potential, see Kuminga as a gamble worth taking, a beacon of youth and athleticism that could complement their rebuild. From Kuminga's camp's perspective, landing in Chicago via sign-and-trade would align with their preference, adding unforeseen drama to this off-season saga. Every moment that passes adds new weight to the silence from the front office. Yet, the narrative thickens, gains momentum, and twists wildly when we recall that Golden State once eyed Lonzo Ball as their preferred trade chip, a factor that could have greased the wheels for a smooth Bulls-Warriors deal. Unfortunately, when the Bulls opted to trade Lonzo Ball to the Cleveland Cavaliers, landing Isaac Okoro, instead that window for an elegant, mutually beneficial exchange slammed shut. History shows us that these quiet standoffs often proceed. The loudest twist, not this small but powerful pivot, leaves the Warriors navigating murky waters, hoping to find a new home for Kuminga. The new direction the Bulls chose signals their hesitance, or perhaps their strategic patience, preserving the mystery around whether they truly view Kuminga as the missing piece to their puzzle. And what does this mean for the Warriors' core? The melodic swish of Steph Curry's deep threes, the defensive grit of Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson's ice-cold execution? Behind closed doors, this saga could define a generation of Warriors basketball. Could Kuminga's departure shatter the delicate balance, leaving questions about Golden State's evolving identity? Or is this the silent pivot, the sort of off-season maneuver that might surprise us all, laying the foundation for a new Warriors renaissance as potent as the We Believe uprising, or even the Dynasty years? Right now, the silence is deafening. With Kuminga's camp standing firm, the Warriors' ambitions pinned on a sign-and-trade that teeters on the Bulls' willingness to engage, a match still hanging in the balance as the clock ticks down on free agency. Every passing day without resolution fans the embers of uncertainty. Will Golden State relent on its financial stance to keep a homegrown talent, or double down, flipping Kuminga for assets that could sustain the championship window just a bit longer? Is the ultimate outcome driven by money, player preference, or a deeper strategic vision that only the front office can decode? What fans aren't being told may be the most important part of this negotiation, and where does Moses Moody fit in too? This evolving constellation of young Warriors trying to carve their place. When Kuminga's exit would instantly recalibrate roles, minutes, and expectations. History shows us that these quiet standoffs often precede the loudest twists. As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, caught between dread and hope, between nostalgia for glory days and the icy thrill of impending reinvention. But is this the spark that reignites our dynasty, or the crack that fractures our legacy? Behind closed doors, this saga could define a generation of Warriors basketball. What if the front office knows more than it shows? Playing a long game that leverages not just Kuminga's talent, but his symbolism in the eyes of Dub Nation? Every moment that passes adds new weight to the silence from the front office. Could this silence be misinterpreted hesitation when it's actually strategic design? Could the final outcome be a blockbuster move none of us saw coming? Drop your unfiltered takes in the comments. I'll be right there, heart in hand. If your blood pressure just spiked thinking about Kuminga's silent standoff and what it means for the heartbeat of the Warriors, hit the comments hard and tell me what's making your soul ache the most, because this isn't just a contract. Drama. It's a crossroads for every dream Dub Nation ever dared to dream. The clock's ticking, the front office lights flickering like a siren in the night. And somewhere inside Chase Center, whispers are colliding with the roar of a past dynasty that refuses to let go without a fight. Imagine for a second the weight Steph Curry carries right now, not just as the GOAT with 2 MVPs, 4 rings, and a revolution etched into the DNA of basketball, but as the heartbeat of a team teetering on a knife's edge. You see, Steph's not the kind of leader who watches fortunes fade quietly. No, he's the kind of warrior who drags you back onto the battlefield, lights the fire, and demands greatness with nothing but sheer will and that untouchable pull-up three. But what happens when the young blood meant to carry the torch refuses to sign the same page of the playbook? When Kuminga's camp plants a flag insisting on a payday that the Warriors, who pride themselves on balance, culture, and a roadmap shaped by Bob Myers and Kerr, aren't willing to write? This isn't just about dollars and years. It's a fracture in the foundation, a silent question mark hovering over Golden State's blueprint for the next 5 years. Draymond, the emotional core and dynamite defensive mind, is watching too. You want to talk about the tension? Picture the locker room grind. Draymond pushing teammates. Kyrie-level hustle with a side of growl. But now forced to digest that the franchise's prized unprotected asset might walk away or worse, be sent somewhere else before his prime even unfolds here. And yet, look at Moses Moody, quietly sharpening his edge, sensing the shift. Decades of Warriors grit coursing through his veins, knowing that if Kuminga exits stage left, suddenly the young wing minutes swell, expectations spike. And every shot he takes will be under a microscope that screams next-gen savior. It's a pressure cooker in there. And that fiery, if delayed, shakeup could either birth a new era or expose the cracks hidden behind the glimmering Chase Center lights. Consider Andrew Wiggins in all this once the ultimate wild card. Now the connective tissue between past glory and potential future fights. Reportedly comfortable with his role as a defensive ace and second banana, Wiggins' stability stands in stark contrast to this Kuminga saga. But how long can that hold? Will the front office lean harder on Wiggins, banking on his steady hand, to cover the inevitable turbulence? Or is this the moment his own stock's next level is demanded? The ripple effect is gigantic. Coach Steve Kerr is navigating a minefield of egos, expectations, and the inescapable shadow of a dynasty, whose chapters were penned by perfect timing and unshakable chemistry. Kerr's offense, the beautiful chaos of Steph and Clay, the messy brilliance of Draymond's IQ, is a dance finely tuned over years. But can it adjust on the fly if the architecture suddenly loses a key beam? The whispers go deeper still. What does this standoff say about Bob Myers' evolving philosophy? The man who built the dynasty is under pressure to redefine the blueprint without losing the soul of what made it magical, the Splash Brothers. The death lineup, the players who bled blue and gold in every critical minute, and now forced to weigh salary cap gymnastics against raw talent and player will. Myers faces a nearly impossible choice. bend on Kuminga's demands and risk financial limbo, or hold the line and watch a young star's potential walk out the door. It's a pressure we haven't seen since the twilight of the Thunder eras. We believe surge when hope was raw and foundations unsteady. Could this be the silent pivot, the kind that defines how a dynasty fractures or finds its rebirth? Or is it just the first echo of a larger storm brewing in the depths of the Warriors' locker room and front office? Let's not forget the strategic chess with Chicago, a city hungry for future stars, but cautious as a cat on a hot tin roof after bolting Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro. The Bulls' choice to scrap Lonzo altered the entire playing field. A dramatic swerve that closed the door on the smooth sign and trade that could have been the silver lining for Golden State's financial and competitive puzzle. Now, Kuminga is a question mark. A diamond in the rough looking out at a restless market, maybe. Seeing the Warriors as an island he's ready to leave behind. And if that's true, if the Stars' gaze shifts away from the Bay, it forces us to stare down a future that feels less like a confident march toward the next ring and more like a scramble to maintain relevance, to scratch and claw through. A brutal Western Conference that's evolving fast with new blood and brutal urgency. The uncertainty stings because it unsettles the core belief every longtime fan holds, that the Warriors don't just adapt, they dominate. But here's the raw nerve. What if this era of Golden State was never meant to last forever? What if the glorious sunset of a dynasty built around Splash Brilliant's brilliance and Draymond's fire is giving way to a dawn yet unwritten, raw and hungry, but also messy and uncertain? As the financial stakes grow, as the players' voices grow louder, as the Bulls watch cautiously from their corner, this isn't a summer for hand-wringing or silent prayers. This is a summer that demands grit, guts, and vision from a front office that knows every decision writes the next chapter in history, not just for the franchise, but for every fan who's ever screamed until their voice was gone, lived and breathed the electrifying magic of a Steph Curry three that changed the game forever. I can feel it as strongly as I felt the air thicken before a game-winning shot. I can smell the electric tension in every meeting, every phone call, and every media whisper. The emotional crescendo is rising, and somewhere between the fear of losing Kuminga and the hope that this standoff might yet ignite a new fire, I stand hard, thudding, eyes wide open, believing that no matter what, this is the moment that will test our fate harder than anything since the 2019 Finals heartbreak. This is the crossroads where champions are either crowned or cast down. Now, I'm throwing it to you, Dub Nation. Spill your rawest, most unfiltered feels below, no edits, no filters, because this story is ours as much as it is theirs. What's the move you pray for? Who do you see stepping up? And when the dust settles, what will this Warriors' identity truly be? I'm in the comments, ready to ride this storm with every ounce of pride and pain, because love for this team isn't just about highlights, it's about every gut punch and every glorious, impossible comeback. Let's break it down. Right now, Dot is someone who has bled blue and gold through every parade, every gut-wrenching finals loss, and every soul-shaking playoff collapse. I can feel the entire identity of this franchise at a crossroads. You can't. Just see it. You can feel it in the way the rumors swirl, the hushed front office meetings leak, and the pulse quickens when a single move could tip the scales. Something's shifting, yes, but is it the pulse of revival or the first cracks in our foundation? Now drop your hottest take below, no filter, no fear. Who's staying? Who's gone? What secrets lie between these whispered re-signings and trade rumors? I'm ready with the receipts and the raw honesty. Bring it all.